Curtis, thank you for joining me for another Zoom interview. How are you doing today?
Dion, I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. For all those viewers out there, we've got Curtis Perrotta here from realestate.com.au. You're a REA representative, and today we're going to ask you a few questions about the data that realestate.com.au has and how that's probably going to reflect on the market moving forward for rentals and sales. You ready to get started?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I've been reading a lot in the papers. Obviously, anyone who's in property and reads the papers, there's been a lot of talk about the market shifting, the rental and sales market shifting, most likely backwards. The question I've got for you, and a lot of our viewers have also sent in, is what are you seeing in the data, and what do you think this is going to mean for demand moving forward when we come out of lockdown?
Yeah, Dion, it's a really great question. And I think the data that we have does indeed confirm that there is a slight decline in two things. That's listing volume, so how many new properties are coming to market, and also those consumers that are searching, which you would call demand. So we're seeing a decline across Australia, but more so obviously in Victoria at the moment, with the restrictions that are really impacting on people being able to move about, and then also the confidence that comes with that. That's for vendors, people looking to sell, but the same in the rental market as well. We're seeing across the country a decrease of around 10% of rental listings. But what's really interesting is the demand, the searches, has seen an increase. And so year on year, we're seeing, particularly with rentals, an increase of around 14% year on year. And even in sales across Australia, we're seeing an increase of around 30%. In Victoria specifically, though, we're experiencing still lots of demand, but it's not as high. So it's around 17% year on year.
Let's focus mostly on the demand for the moment. We'll move on to the supply in just a moment. I know that realestate.com.au was reporting record levels of website hits, engagements, and new customers. Can we talk to, I think it was in the last quarter of the financial year. Let's talk to that just a moment.
Yeah, so one thing that we're really proud of is having the number one audience. And so a big value proposition that we try to satisfy is making sure we've got loads of listings, all of the listings available, but also really rich content that help consumers make a decision. And so you, being one of our amazing real estate customers, contribute towards that. And so we saw in July a record number of 12 million unique visits to realestate.com.au. Now, what that means is it's not me visiting the website 12 times in my spare time. It's 12 million Australians that are visiting realestate.com.au to look for property, whether to buy, sell, rent, or invest. And so that's something that's really positive, particularly throughout a global pandemic.
So you would think, with the amount of people now searching, I suppose there's a lot of talk about tech stocks going up, engagements going up because people are sitting at home and they've got a lot of time in their hands to now start looking at property for the future. How would you relate that level of demand, that record demand moving forward over the next 12 months?
Yeah. One thing that we've been trying to do is use technology to make it really easy for consumers to engage with property listings from their own home. It's very clear that Australians are obsessed with property. We love it. We talk to our friends and family about it. In fact, most people have made wealth from property in Australia. And so what we've tried to do throughout COVID is make it really easy for our customers, real estate agencies, to use technology to showcase properties. And so since March 2020, we've seen over 300% increase in those using 3D tours. So this is where an agent would go to a property and take a scan and showcase that on the listing. And we've seen a 92% increase in virtual tours or video tours. And so that's an agent doing a walkthrough of the property, whether it's on their phone or on a professional camera, and just giving a little bit more of an insight that might complement the description, the photography, and the floor plan on the listing.
Fantastic. So what it sounds like is not only are we getting a record number of hits and views on realestate.com.au, but you're actually making it easier for your customers to now view and really search for that next property.
That's what we're trying to do, because we recognise while people are at home and they're either escaping the rigmarole of the day, the boredom of the day, we know that they turn to property and they come to our website and look to see what's available, either out of curiosity to see what's going on, or with a real purpose to decide, is now the time that we sell? We've had a bit more time to consider our own home and our circumstance. Maybe now is the time to upgrade.
Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about supply, because you sort of started off mentioning that supply has come back. You know, I'm speaking to a lot of buyers out there who are complaining that there's not much on the market. What's going on in
Yeah,
the supply space?
it's a really interesting conversation to have, and that's something that we're monitoring really closely. So, the first thing is with COVID, the restrictions are quite fierce, and so it means that people can't have strangers in their own home like they would previously be able to, but they do and are considering what the next step is. And so, what we always find in real estate is there is a big wave of buyers that create this demand, and then the sellers follow. So we're suspecting that in the next 3 to 6 months, we'll start to see a bit of an increase of sellers coming back to the market once restrictions are eased. The confidence is returning because the buyers are there, and we can see that from the engagement that's happening on our site. If we look at the rental market, it's a bit different, particularly around university suburbs. The demand there is quite low. Those that would previously come to Australia, either from elsewhere or those that are looking to move domestically to study, that will really impact the rental market in between now and the next 12 months.
Yeah, we're already starting to see that. I mean, well, we're based in St Kilda Reef, but we manage a lot of rental properties in the Caulfield area. Obviously, Monash University being one of the best universities in the country, and we're starting to see a bit of a decline there in the level of demand. But we're also moving things, regardless of the lack of the demand. We are still eventually moving things. So I think it's just going to be an adjustment in prices just for a brief period. What do you think?
I agree. And I think the good agencies, like you've alluded to, making smart decisions to either keep tenants in the property so that you don't need to re-advertise and find a new tenant, and having open conversations with tenants about the market price, which would have changed, but having open and honest conversations early with these tenants that you already have is a really great strategy.
Fantastic. Let's talk tech for a moment, because I know you guys are obviously famous for the level of technology and research and development that you do in the real estate space. We're obviously seeing the e-commerce industry increasing dramatically across the world. People are buying more online than they've ever bought ever. Let's talk about some of the. Let's talk a little bit about the technology that's coming into the real estate space. And more importantly, what do you think is actually going to survive post-COVID?
A great question. So if we reflect on the last 10 years, professional photography has become the new minimum standard of real estate advertising. And what we've been sort of monitoring for the last 5 years is what do virtual tours look like, and what do video tours look like in properties. And so right now we've seen the need for people to adjust and adapt and provide virtual tours. And even though some of them might be on their phone, they're still a really great way of marketing property. Same with 3D tours. Now, these were quite expensive 5 years ago. Now they've become a lot more affordable for everybody, and the quality is really good. So I think that both of those two things will stay. Video tours and 3D tours, they will become the new norm for consumers as an expectation, but also in real estate advertising. What happens next? Nobody knows. I think something that we're monitoring closely is, like, I love Amazon, and I'm really excited to share that I live in Brisbane and Amazon's coming to Brisbane like there is in Melbourne at the moment. And so it will just mean that our expectations of speed have increased. And so we always know as consumers, we're comparing our own experiences from one industry to the other. And so in real estate, it will mean fast transactions, fast communication, technology to speed up conveyancing, settlements, those types of things I think we'll see in the near future as well.
That's fantastic. No, I'm really looking forward to the future, because there's so much in the pipeline. I know I came up to your office in Melbourne. I went, had a tour of your office in Melbourne a couple of years ago, and the research and development that you guys do is remarkable. But I know that there's a little bit of a slow uptake in the real estate industry, and I think as a result of COVID, if you can look at the half glass full situation for just one moment, I think what's happening right now is a lot of that technology is being fast-tracked, and it's being pushed into the real estate industry. It's going to be really interesting to see over the next 6, 12, 18 months what technology actually comes into the industry as a result of that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it is something that we're lucky to be able to do. But again, like you said, it's about getting the right piece of tech in the hands of the right people at the right time. And so we'll see what happens.
One last thing, I'm going to ask for a bit of a prediction, and I'm not going to hold you to it. When do you think buying property online without inspecting it will be the norm?
I my That's a very big question. My prediction is that that will never happen. I think that Australian consumers love the tangible aspect of viewing property, and whether it's to rent or to live in, we just love going there. And so I think all of this technology will be to complement the process of searching for property. But really, I still want to do business with someone like yourself, Dion. I want to do it face to face, belly to belly, and I'm in Queensland right now, and so we're a little bit ahead of the COVID situation. And what I'm seeing here is people somewhat reverting back to what they've always done, which is somewhat sad. But it does sort of highlight to me that my opinion is that we'll still want to do business with human beings. The technology is to actually just maybe support us and create efficiencies, never, I think, to overtake the human interaction.
Kurtis, thank you very much for joining me today.